EU5, here we go. It got finally announced. We know that this game is coming. We don't know yet when, but me and a bunch of other creators, not a sponsor video, got an early access to the game for a few weeks. I got 50 hours to play it out and record this video for you. You might have also figured out that last month I was invited to Sieges, to HQ of Paradox Tinto, to get more knowledge about the game, get it presented to us, playtest it for 2 hours and take a bunch of nice pictures. For today's video I've got a few strict rules which I want you to be aware of. I cannot play past Age of Renaissance, so 1437. The whole video cannot be longer than 30 minutes. And tooltips are work in progress. The AI is work in progress. Performance, guys, it's not good yet, unfortunately. That's my biggest worry. The tutorial is not yet there, and missions are being completely reworked, and we don't even have access to missions while playtesting this game. But even with all of this in mind, prepare yourself for good content. First of all, I will welcome by the world map, but what I'll focus on is Poland for sure. You're greeted with a historical background of the country, its population statistics and diplomacy, the ruler obviously. That portrait is much better than I would expect, honestly. Casimir the Great for a reason, and I have all of the bonuses that he gives me with these stats. What I really do like here is the amount of the bonuses that we can see in preview on a country when clicking on it. So you get to know the bonuses from its country type, the government, culture, religion, and it's all listed, right? Country events, and amount of the country bonuses with a preview what the hell they do. I can also choose settings of the game, how I want all of this to play out, like when the bubonic plague starts, how the Byzantium is called, the difficulty, etc. I'll use my own historical settings. The game has over 60 of map modes, and you see all of them here. For example, could see what are the building-based countries, like for example Hansa or the Orders. Pop-based countries which are natives. I see plenty of them in the New World. Or what are the army-based countries, which will be the hordes. But let me start the game. We'll be playing as Poland, and you see it starts fairly fast in this part. And as mentioned at the beginning, performance will be my biggest enemy over here. I spend a lot of time getting the right settings to make it work, and I'm in general playing on medium settings, but they did promise to fix that. One setting that is worth mentioning to you, to be honest, is the flap map mode setting. I'm playing on a flap map mode as I prefer it, but we could also play on a bit tilted map. That's the default setting that you're being welcomed with, but I personally do like the map mode that is flat. Here's the UI. I think it looks pretty good, better than I did expect, but I'll talk more about the UI in my separate videos based on the content that I present to you here. We do start with a big war between Lithuania and us on one side and Teutonic Order Bohemia on the other side. It is pretty hard war for Poland to win because there will be carpet siege by the Bohemians and Silesians a lot. So that will be my main job, to protect from them. Why we need to siege down provinces in Pomerania here, in order to regain our course in a peace deal. But what I'll start with is setting up the country in general. So we'll start step by step with the estate setup. I'll not go too deep into this, but the crown privileges are the ones that are guarantee forms, and here I'll just take more crown power. And then we've got privileges for the estates. We start with plenty of them, and we can add more. And it will be privileges like an extra discipline for the nobility, efficiency of the cabinet for the clergy, or power score costs with other religions from expansion zealotry, but more importantly from the burghers will be stuff like market attraction, and this in order to increase the Kraków market reach, but also our trading capacity and gold input. We can control our balance a bit more, definitely more money from minting, just enough to not get inflation, a bit more tax from each of the estates, just enough to keep them loyal. We could automate each of this, like army maintenance is automated, but I'll just leave it as this. Less spending on court, less spending on diplomatic, more spending on stability. And if we talk about the stability, we go to the cabinet, which are advisors in this game, where they can perform specific actions. Like for example, I can hire a cabinet member to increase our stability over time. And how good he's doing that depends on his skills. That's why I've got characters in that game. While the second cabinet member will be focusing on encouraging migration, so increased amount of the people living in our capital, so Krakow. And I do want to do that because a lot in this game depends on the control. And you see the control in capital is 100, and the lower control the worse. It works like reversed autonomy in EU4. We can move to trade. You see we've got a specific trade goods. They are ones that gives us the most profit, they are the ones that are needed by the population. But I'll start with the profit because we'll need more money to handle this war. There are also advances, so you can just go ahead and choose from the ones that are available for you, or you can go and view the whole tree of the advances, which is separate for each of the ages. In case of Age of Traditions, most of them is already completed, so I'm just filling this part of the advances tree. So I can choose to get more trade capacity, and I can plan multiple of them at the same time. I want to go straight to this, they're gonna plan the straight path to it. What's great here is that you see from where the advances are coming. For example, this is unique for Catholics, and this is unique for the religion group Christianity. If I go to Age of Renaissance, you'll see that there are even some unique advances just for Poland, like stone and brick. I also have some laws that you can choose at the very start of the game, but there's nothing that much deep here to show you. Just stuff like, oh, how do we handle the minting, etc. We also got to improve relations with a few of our subjects here in Mazovia, as we'll want to start annexing them a bit later. And that's what we are spending our diplomats on. We've got flat diplomats, and they are increasing 0.26 a month. So we just use 3 of them right now to improve relations. Since I'm saving the game, look at this. So we've got unique ID for each of the campaigns. So if you want to see, or also if you save files for a specific campaign, you can access them until like one folder that's automated. One thing that I like about the army management, if I go to military here and objectives, there's an objectives panel here, and it works pretty good. I can, for example, set up for carpet siege, which actually works, but here I need a stack that will defend my country, and that's gonna be the 3rd army. I can just select them to this action, and they will, all they do, they will try attacking stacks, sieging us down. Just make sure to assign our ruler as the general here. While the rest of these armies, they will go north and start sieging down Teutonic Order. Now, as soon as these guys are going to our territory, the AI is automatically moving my army to go ahead and defend. And that's actually gonna be a goddamn big battle that we'll be having here. But what I find in this game so far is that, especially in the early game when there are levies fighting, there are a lot of losses happening, which you'll see here, and having a bigger army matters a lot. The money that I'm having gonna go to buildings, and you can sort them by all different ways. What's really useful is that you can also search, oh, I want more market protection, or I want more trade capacity buildings, and it's gonna list me all of the buildings that do give me trade capacity. In our case, we want to build plenty of marketplaces to increase it. I definitely do want a hospital as well in our capital, as this will protect us a bit from the bubonic plague. I also do think that it's worth to create a city. So I'm looking for a province with a lot of population that is close to our capitals, as what impacts it a lot is the proximity and control. So I'm gonna fund a town in Książ Wielki. So I'm trying to kill as many of them as possible by using my quantity advantage. I'm a bit afraid of this guys trying to reinforce, but I don't think they'll be on time. Because now that I've killed 17,000 of the troops, we have a double the number advantage. And so we have a bit more of freedom on sieging their provinces down. I do love this event because that is gonna establish a union between us and Hungary long term. You know, since our war participation is 75%, I think that's pretty easy, as long as we occupy something here that will get a big chunk of Teutonic Order. A bit unfortunate, but just after 8 months of the war, Lithuania decided to peace out without taking a single province. And that's actually the only peace deal in my 3 Poland runs that I did, that this happened, that I didn't receive any provinces. But it's fine, we'll get it in the next war, it's gonna be tough though. But anyway, in the meantime, we got opinion of Czechs to be over 150, so we can start annexing them, which will decrease my relationship with all the other subjects by 50. So you see now, I'm using 0.10 diplomat a month for annexing countries, 0.15 for improving relations, and obviously performing any action costs me 1 diplomat. For the dApps that I didn't show you yet, we've got international organizations all here, like Catholic Church, Holy Roman Empire, Everything else including unions, but I'll talk about unions later. We also got the great powers, but only the ones that I can see. So 4th one Bavaria, 5th one Egypt, and us being much below them. You see, for increasing our trade capacity, we're earning 14 ducats a month already for the trading itself. Obviously, Szlachta is already trying to break with the stability of our country. Another historical event is Judgment of 1339, where us and Teutonic Order are asking, hey Pope, can you figure out what do we do with Pomerania, because both of us want these lands. Teutonic Order obviously doesn't want to give us anything, so we have to take it ourselves in the next war. Another historical event inviting the German settlers, which will cost some money, but that's 3 pops. Every 5 years, most of the countries will be able to call a parliament. In our case, it's of course called Sejm, which will have a very specific debate, which will give us a bonus during the debate before it finishes. So you see in this case population growth, and then if it passes, additional bonus or negative bonus. They can increase ties to the subjects because that's going to increase our income from them, but to pass it, you see, we'll need to increase that likelihood. Oh no, that's the worst scenario. Like, they ask us in agenda to break an alliance. We don't want to break the alliances. And both of these guys wants to break it, yeah, which means that I'll most likely not pass that agenda because I'll not break in alliances. But we also can get doing the same, some events increasing it, like this one. 25% additional support, but I don't think that's gonna be enough. This is very important event because one of the biggest things that Casimir the Great did was going east, especially the Red Ruthenia lands. So the succession of the leader Bolesław Piast allows us to get union with Halich, and just take a look at this. Diplomatic, see Halich is in a PO with us, and the castles built in Volhynia. The problem is, and I think that's not working as designed, is that if we declare on Volhynia to make them our PU, they're gonna call in Halich as an ally, I'm gonna lose that union. That's why I'm gonna keep only the Halich union here. Another note is that PUs are both much weaker and stronger than in EU4. Because by default, just having union, it's not doing anything, and I'm gonna lose it as soon as the ruler dies, unless you change the rules of the union. So go to organizations and go to the triple union and policies. I'll be able to centralize that union. To do that, I need to first of all have a contribution law, which costs me prestige and money. We just go for a high contribution because we'll need a lot of money. Each union has its own account. So each of the policies will take a year to be done. So you have 1 year here and 6 years here. So technically in 7 years, if you have enough money, I will be able to, you'll see what. Funny about these policies, technically, each of the union members should be able to just decide if they vote for or against a specific policy. But the issue is, I found that they always vote yes, no matter what you choose as a policy. Even if you just want to annex them next year, they'll vote yes, I want to be annexed. The game does not have idea groups, but it has something similar and bigger in quantity, because in each age, and I think it's 6 ages or 7, you have a choice between the focuses: admin, diplo, and military, and each of them is giving you a set of unique advances that are giving you specific bonuses, which I think is not a bad replacement of idea groups. And in the first age, I will go for the diplomatic focus, as it gives us help with amount of the subjects and also the trading stuff. With each policy in the union, I can choose, like, for additional stuff I can do with it. For example, here I can vote to get cabinet members or artists or leaders from my union members. Renaissance started in Cremona, and soon I'll tell you how the hell you embrace the institution. Banking in Genoa, time for our revenge against the Teutonic Order. Again, they'll be held by Bohemia, but I'll be held by both Hungary and Lithuania. But, and I keep forgetting about that, to be able to use the casus belli, I need to build spy network, which then, once I have 20 spy network, will work on the reason to start the war for one of the available, like regaining the core. And then once I create that reason, I'll be having an opportunity to actually use this casus belli. Otherwise, I could just do a no-CB war. Alternative would be to use Sejm for a casus belli, but that's insult casus belli, which doubles the cost of provinces in a peace deal. So see, I could prepare for any country that I have diplomatic range for, but instead I'm gonna request additional taxes from Sejm. The statues of King Kazimierz Piast is their last try to stop the Szlachta from taking over the power, but I think this will happen anyway. But I can spend money while making Szlachta not like us too much. So we've got a choice to have radical reforms, which is gonna make them even more disloyal. Radical reforms it is. See, this is gonna fix very quickly. Again, only radical reforms choices, guys, which then takes 24 stability and overall legitimacy, which at 0 looks pretty funny. But we've got conclusion of the reform deliberations, which unlocks us Piotrków Wyślica status, which is estate's satisfaction equilibrium, more max tax, and we get crown power and efficiency for our cabinet and levy size for the next 20 years. Absolutely worth it. You say I could join an international organization, which is a Papal Crusade. Yes, this is another international organization, but you know what? Screw you, Pope. Oh no, the Black Death just started. Look at this number of the popes we're having. This is no longer gonna happen. Actually, that's one of the things that I don't like about Poland with this game, because technically, at least that's what they teach us at schools, that Poland wasn't much touched by the Black Death. But in this game, you don't have any protection as Poland, which is weird, because Casimir the Great was the Great, because one of the reasons was that all the neighbors of Poland were affected by Black Death, so Poland could catch up. But it's not happening in this game, at least yet, because I left my feedback. Anyway, it's time to take the last policy here. For the unification of crowns, I could do a confederation instead. Probably that's better for early game, but I want nice borders for the thumbnail. So even though that means that Halich and Inowrocław will disappear, they will always vote yes in the current state of the game. But yeah, now that the Black Death started, various countries then can close the trade to us, which means we're gonna have to micromanage trade a lot. Which is a good moment to show you one of the most favorite features in this game: automations. You can automate almost everything in game, just let AI play for you. And I'll go to trader and automate trading by itself. You can automate whole trade, you can automate trade for specific trade node, or you can automate trade for specific trade node outside of the trade goods that you favored. So that's really flexible if you don't want to manage it, and that's what I'm gonna use. AI, you go handle trade for me. There it is. Look, we've got very much historical borders of Poland, thanks to the annexation of Halich. But here's the thing, proximity here, so the base for the control that we'll be having in these provinces is us. And so will be our control, because when I take it over control of the country that was here. See, it's 0, 0, 0, 0. Partly it is because these provinces are integrated, you see they're yellow, but they're not coarse, because they're not of my culture. But what you can do, you can go to your society, and in the cultures breakdown, you can go ahead and first of all tolerate a culture, which doesn't make them coarse, it just makes them less rebellious. But I can use my cultural capacity to go ahead and make them accepted culture, which will make us be above the cultural capacity, but it's fine, because now when I wait a month tick, you'll see that all of these provinces became our cores. So also the control that we'll be having here will be actually not that much us. It's still us, but not as bad as it was. What we have to do now, I can remove that as an accepted culture. And that's another thing to fix in this game, it's still early access, is that even when I remove the culture as accepted, these are still my cores. So I can just keep doing that for any province that I conquer. In the meantime, I've lost 24,000 pops in just 1 month tick. But yeah, with the money that I'm having now, I'm gonna start heavily investing into roads. See, as AIs are doing, because roads help in cruising control. I'm gonna start connecting Kraków, let me show you how it looks like, to all of the main cities we have in the country. So definitely Częstochowa, Wieluń, Tarnów, which I made my cities, but also towards Goddamn Halich. 157,000 pops that died in just a month. A good... It's pain, but I think it's improvement compared to E4 is that I cannot super peace a nation in war, an ally, until 12 months passed. Even though I could peace out Bohemia already, I have to wait until March. I didn't mention that before, but sieges with that many locations obviously don't work like in EU4. It's more close to Imperator Rome, while sitting down a province, as a location as capital of a province, will siege all of the locations in that province for you. Obviously, a lot of these provinces will not be forced, so it will be much faster to get this done. I got siege down this way a lot in Homeland, but purposely, because I can go to military, objectives, carpet siege, and ask Third Army to re-siege these two provinces by itself. And now look and watch. It is so much better than EU4 carpet siege. It splits the stack by itself and is gonna go start carpet sieging everything around by itself. I think Black Death is done with us. 1.2 million deaths in Poland. 144 in the whole world. Something that I wanted to show you is this art of specific provinces. It is dynamic, it depends on the population in a province, the level, if it's a city, town, etc. And geography, so if there's a river, or there is a sea, and finally also in the region. There are several regions in the world that impact both the provinces, but also your unit types, how they look like. You know how I told you that AI and RNG screwed me up a lot in this game? Well, one of the things that I don't like about the peace deals is that you can't take any provinces if you don't take a war goal. And I can't take the war goal because it is occupied by another country, means. Anyway, another great thing that is improvement compared to the previous version is the amount of the peace treaties. Look at this, how much we can take. Here is a pretty standard country treaties. Got location, province, area treaties, which is just taking a specific land, but also there are other treaties like anti-piracy agreement, fleet basing rights, food access in case you miss it, or there are many more that are not included here, like destroying forts. And now you guys will appreciate good Polish borders. There's some Hungary in their peasants. Again, the same trick that I did before, so I can go ahead and simply accept the Kashubian culture, which doesn't cost that much, which gives us even more core. Now, I did get some provinces that are not our integrated provinces, so let me show you. If I go to the cabinet actions, that's the only way to core the province, to be exact, integrate a province, so then you can core by changing the culture. I need to do interaction with the cabinet, which will take, as you can see here with our efficiency, 7 years for just few locations. The whole province will be even longer. I also like how Terra Incognita works in this game, meaning you see the whole world. I mean, it's geography, but you actually see what's happening there only within your range. Never freaking again horde wars. Not only that kill death ratio, but also occupying the whole country is 47% war score. And I don't even have 10% war score to enforce any peace deal besides a white peace. The situation of the Black Death finished. Let's see, did anyone survive? Something that I didn't show you yet, but I'm also not playing around with this much, are the society values, which are changing over time, also depends on our decisions, what we do in the parliament. And each of this, as you see, gives us various bonuses and maluses depending what we choose. The game has a guess expansion which is called Antagonism, and you see we've got a bit of it around us, but it's nothing super crazy. We just have to make sure to eat Teutonic Order soon. I haven't done much of our religion in this campaign, but I can show you that for the cost of relations with Pope I can get some crown power. We can also use our religious influence to proclaim some saints soon. Another building that will help us out increasing local proximity is a byleaf, which also increases the noble's power, but yeah, what I can do. In case you're wondering, yes, Poland does have a historical path to form a union with Lithuania, which starts with this event, and this leads us to Union of Krewo. These are definitely perfect borders of Poland, but I'm not stopping here, I still have so many years to play. Institutions work similar and different to EU4, because you can embrace it once 10% of your population is having it exposed, but it's not only costs more money, the less percentage you have, but also you pay stability for not having enough percentage. But from these three institutions that we have in Age of Renaissance, I want Renaissance the most, because it will unlock us a tree of advances, where we get both additional government reform and cabinet seat. Poland also has its own unique disaster, which is rise of the Szlachta, that first of all takes all of my stability and plenty of legitimacy, but then also gives us this modifier. Estates, all of the estates, satisfaction equilibrium minus 20 goddamn %. And all of these negative events can happen. There's also Triumph of the Szlachta, which is plenty of privileges, not being able to declare no CB wars, the Golden Liberty with all of this. Elective succession law, screw you Szlachta, screw you. Poland will be able to form a union with Lithuania with a marriage proposal event. Please. Oh boy, don't look guys what's happening in Eastern Europe. Such a mess. I'm the only one just next to it trying to keep the clean borders. Professional armies is an institution that we want to embrace quickly, because that unlocks us an advance for building that gives us manpower, which is, you might say, a trained people pool that we'll be using for a standing army. And you can compare standing army to actual army, while levies are like peasants with pitchforks. That's the quality difference between these two, and we have to switch to these armies quickly, otherwise we'll be losing all of our wars. The standing army units are also working more interestingly, because there's a bigger choice, and you can unlock them through advances, like I want cavalrymen, let me take an advance. I want crossbowmen, let me take an advance for them. Now that I fully annexed the Teutonic Order, I naturally took over Livonia as my subject, which looks funny with a Poland name, and Kingdom of Poland here, but that's I think because of an option that I chose for them to be colored as mine. And this is a nice boost of our income, because you see it's 7.5 ducats a month that we're seeing from them, but it's obviously nowhere close to what we're making from trade. I'm just surprised by the amount of good content that Poland has, because look, I can move my capital to Warsaw, which should be good because it's more in the center of the country, which is great for proximity and control, and I've got a casus belli in Moldavia to take over as my subject. And to handle that, I already built 2,500 of standing army, for which I can even decide the formation. Just to show you that combination of that pitchfork guys and standing army. They attacked me with 8,000. Look how they're being massacred. Their daily losses. It's not looking good for Hungary. That's how strong a standing army is. I don't think it's working as intended yet, but I cannot vassalize Moldavia free a peace deal, because the war score cost for us is 106. This is it guys. The Age of Renaissance just finished, which means I have to finish my campaign here. I'm fairly proud of our country, like amount of the lands that we got, also a big subject. I really did organize my control nicely compared to what we had before, and we've hit around 500 of income. Obviously I still am complete noob in this game, I have around 50 hours, but I have a lot of fun learning this game in this 50 hours, and I'm gonna lose access now, but I really want to play it more. And obviously, yep, more about the experience itself, the different categories, and what I really think about this game in my second video, which I'll be able to post in 2 days from now. But for today, I think guys, just let me know what you think. Is this game what you expected? Better than you expected? Or much worse than you expected? For me, it is in a better state than I expected. I thought that the UI is much worse based on the Tinto talks. I did not expect trade buildings to be as fun as they turned out to be. and a couple features that I expected to be good, they did turn out being really good. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel as more EU5 content will be coming in the future. Bye!